Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Dogstar Fishing's Guide to Sea Fishing Rigs. Today we're going to learn how to tie the 2-hook flapper, also known as a 2-hook Paternoster. This rig is best fished on clean ground and it's got 2 hooks on it so you can catch your 2 fish in one go. Let's have a look and see what we need to make it. First of all, how I set up to make my rigs. I like to use a piece of wood like a door frame, and I get a tape measure and I basically just pin it up with pins just like this into the wood top and bottom, and then I like to make my rig beside it. Then we always know what measurements we use in the gap between everything and what's going on. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to grab a meter of our main rig body. So this is Asso Ultraflex and this is £60, which is strong enough for most UK sea fishing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it up to my tape measure here and I'm going to bring it down to the 1 metre mark, 100 centimetres. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my nail clippers here and I'm going to snip it off, but what I'm going to do as I do it, I'm going to do it at a bit of an angle, which will help me get the other components of the rig on. So I know I've cut that top end at a nice right angle there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the other end of the rig, and the first component I'm going to tie on is the casting snap. So I get one of these out. Here we go, we use these generally to clip a lead weight onto right at the bottom of the rig. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my main line, thread it through the gap there, and I'm going to tie it on. Now, I'm not going to tell you to use any specific knot, tie whichever knot works best for you. For me, I like to tie Unibond knots, but if you're using a blood knot, any knot, I don't care, as long as it's strong and it will hold. So we've gone around 4 times through the loop there. Pull it a little bit into place with my tooth, and now we're going to have to moisten the line so we don't burn it. So the easiest way to do this is just to use a little bit of saliva. There we go, nice and moist. And now we're just going to take that knot and slide it down to the casting snap, pull it tight. We've got the tag end there. I just use my teeth, pull tight on that. That is now very well tied on and not going anywhere. With the tag end, we're just going to take our nail clippers and snip it off. Voila. So now we've got this main rig body and a component at one end. What we can do is slide on most of the other components that we're going to need for this rig in order now. So the first component we're going to need to slip on is a crimp. I hope you guys can just about see that. So the order is crimp, slide that all the way down to the casting snap down the bottom there. Then we're going to need a bead. Now that 90-degree cut definitely comes in handy when threading on your beads. After the bead, we will need one of the smaller swivels. Let's get one of these guys on that. Right, we have a crimp, a bead and a swivel. Now we've basically got a reverse process. We've got to do a bead and a crimp. One bead. One crimp. Now that is going to be the basis for the bottom snood on the rig. So now what we've got to do is repeat that. We've got to go again basically. So we're going to go swivel, not swivel, a crimp. Then we're going to use a bead. Then we are going to use a small swivel again. Then another bead. Start them all the way to the bottom. And then lastly, we're going to slide on another crimp to top it all off. So at this point, down the end of the rig, you should have something that looks like this. Crimp, bead, swivel, bead, crimp, crimp, bead, swivel, bead, crimp. Now what we have to do is tie on one of the larger swivels to the top of the rig. Now we use one of these larger swivels at the top of the rig because we don't want anything to break during casting. So this says it has 104 pound of strength in it, so that will stop your rig from breaking apart during the cast. Now again, just like with the casting snap, just tie it on with whichever knot you're best at tying. So I'm going to go for another unibond knot, making a loop, and then wrapping over the doubled up line 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Use the tooth to tie it into place. Now we've got to moisten it again. Slide that on down and pull it tight. I just can use my tooth again to pull on the tag end. There we go. You don't have to use your teeth, you could use a pair of pliers. But I've been doing this so long, it's just a force of habit. Right, we're going to take this tag end again and snip it off. We don't need that. So now we have the main body of the rig all made up. All we've got to do is crimp it into place and add the snoods and hooks. So at this point, what I like to do is pin it up onto the door frame next to the tape measure. So you can see out of the original 100 that we've measured, we have lost nearly 10 centimetres off this rig by snipping off the tag ends. What we're going to need next is our crimping pliers. So we're going to have to crimp the snood bases into place. So I'm going to take the top 2, so we'll zoom in on this. I'm going to take this amalgamation of crimps, beads and a swivel. I'm going to slide that up the line so we're 10 centimetres away, 10 or 11 centimetres away from the top of our rig, from the top of the bigger swivel. We'll take our pliers We flatten off the crimp. So all we've done there is crimp that amalgamation into place about 11 centimeters off at the top of the rig. What we need to do now is crimp our second snood base into place. So we've crimped this one at about maybe 11 or 12 centimeters underneath the top casting swivel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it even, and I'm going to go up to 52 centimeters. I'm going to crimp this into place. Here we go, so now we've got our rig ready to add the snood lines on. Right, our next job is to add on some snood lines. Now I like to use Sunset Amnesia, it's a very good line. And today we're using £20 for this rig. We are going to measure out about 37 centimeters. So depending on what you're fishing for, you might want to add heavier line, lighter line, bigger hooks, smaller hooks. For today's video, we're going to be using a £20 line. And we're also going to be using size 2.0 hooks. So on the lower of the two amalgamations for the snood line, I'm going to tie it onto the smaller swivel that we've got dangling there, the snood line. Again, just use whichever knot you are best at tying, as long as it's strong. So we'll thread that through there, make a loop. And 4. Again, we're going to moisten the line, make sure we don't burn it. Then we're just going to slide it down and pull it tight. Again, with our nail clippers, let's just take the tag end. We'll undo it. Again, we've got another tag end from where we've just tied on. We're going to clip that off. So we'll come off the door frame for a little bit, get some closer up shots. Our tag end is gone. We don't have to have it hanging, so what we can do, to show you guys a bit better this time, we're going to take the £20 Sunset Amnesia line again. Again, we're going to measure about 37 to 38 centimeters, and we're going to chop it there. Right, now what we've got to do is get it tied on here onto this smaller of the swivels up near the top of the rig. So we'll get that through there. Pull that back a bit, right, whichever knot you're best at. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Moisten it and slide it on down and pull it tight. There we go, so we'll take off that tag end now. Right, at this point I'm going to hang it back up on the door frame to tie the hooks back, to tie the hooks on. So here we go, we've got the rig hanging on the door frame here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the lower of the two snoods, and in my hand I've got a size 2.0 hook. I'm just going to tie that onto the end of the snood. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. There we go. And we've got the hook tied on. Again, we've got a tag end, so we're just going to take that off. And what I like to do, instead of being up here to try and tie the other hook on, we're just going to move the entire rig down halfway down the door frame, and then I've got a much more easier working height to tie the next hook on. 2, 3 and 4 turns. There we go, we'll slide that down. Cut the tag end off. And there we go everyone, this is our completed 2-hook flapper / Paternoster rig. Now you can see the top snood, it isn't long enough so that the hook interferes with the snood below it. And on the snood below it you can see it isn't long enough so that the hook is interfering with the weight. This is absolutely ready to use. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please smash that subscribe button and keep your eyes open for episode 2 of Dogstar Fishing's Guide to Sea Fishing Rigs, where we'll be learning how to tie a 3-hook flapper.